everyone. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at The Thud by Mikael. This is out from Fantagraphics. I had seen some previews of this and thought it was, like, just based on the images I saw, I thought it was kind of a funny little superhero book, but I really liked the art, so I didn't jump on it right away when it came out. I think this came out in 2021, 22. They don't have a date right up front. But I picked it up in the Fanabucks sale this time around, and was really glad I did. It's just a really touching book. It's really sweet, beautiful art, really nice writing all throughout. So I want to give a little flip through, show some of the stuff I liked about it without giving away too much of the intricacies of the story. It's about this character here named Noel. Noel is someone who is it doesn't say explicitly in the story, but just the way he's rendered and kind of the way he behaves, I think the suggestion is that he has Down syndrome. He definitely has some kind of mental disability, and he lives in Berlin with his mother. She's obviously a single mother, and is trying to do her best to raise him and really loves him, but also, like, has her struggles with him. And that's all presented really clearly in the first, like, 5 pages, basically. This rendering of this building here, I knew this was set in Germany, and immediately this was like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure that's the exact apartments I stayed in when I was in Berlin for 2 months. We had patios exactly like that, and the big concrete buildings. I'm sure it's just a standard style throughout many countries in Europe, but it felt exactly right. I was assuming, because the back of the book has this map of, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, but this town in Lower Saxony, Germany, that was founded in 1868. I was assuming it was happening out here, but the buildings didn't make sense. This felt like the big city Berlin to me. And then you see later that, yes, it starts in Berlin, and then he goes out to this other city. So you really get a sense within the first 5 pages what a great relationship he has with his mom. She's bought him tickets to an AC/DC concert because he loves AC/DC. He's got this little guitar and everything. And then, this is no spoilers, I don't think, it's on page 6 of the book, but he's in bed and you hear a thud. So that's actually the thud. When I saw this with the guy on the cape, that's why I assumed that the thud was like what people called the character. But actually the thud is his mom having a stroke or an aneurysm or something, and he hears her and then can see her but can't get to her, where she's fallen and busted her head open and blood. He immediately, like, puts this plant pot over his head to try and, like, think his way through what he needs to do, and eventually is able to get help for her and get her to the hospital. And the whole scene where he's on the phone with the emergency operator, and he's having trouble communicating, but slowly working his way through it, is really touching to me. It's showing someone whose brain works in different patterns, trying to still communicate, and the things that he associates with. So I really like that. It's all told from his point of view, and I think it's, I don't know, I shouldn't speak for people who have mentally disabled people in their family, or people with Down syndrome or something, but it feels like it's taking that viewpoint into consideration. It's not just using that, it's trying to imagine the world from that real sensitively. So he goes with his mother to the emergency room, and the cape he's wearing on the cover is actually the gold foil emergency blanket that they wrap her in, and he takes that and turns it into a cape, which I think is really touching. And this is him now. He's basically been told he can't go into the ER with her, and so he just kind of wanders off and is in his head. And some of the art in here is really beautiful. You can see this kind of psychedelic abstraction going on here, and he's imagining this ballerina, which I believe is his mom when she was younger. The art throughout is all really beautiful. It feels like a combination of watercolor and color pencil and pen and ink, maybe. I think it's a lot of just pencil rendering. But really beautiful art, really awesome drawing. So that's just the setup for the story, really. What happens then is his mom's put in a medically induced coma, and he gets sent to a care home in this town that I'm not going to try and pronounce, with a bunch of people with a bunch of other disabilities. And so the rest of the book is just getting to know those characters. It's dealing with Noel, struggling with the fact that he's very used to his routine, and now he's in another place with all these people he's got to meet, the little crush he develops. So I think, it's just becomes from here a character-driven story, and I really, really like it. All the characters are really interesting, and, they're quirky in their own ways, but it's all very touching. I think this scene here, I'm actually going to read like a two-page, three-page sequence here, because I think it shows a bunch of the different characters interacting and gives a sense of the writing without really giving away too much from the story. So this character, Robert, I believe, is the caretaker at the home. And you get Noel saying, "Robert, yes, you're not at the village square? There are loud bands playing there tonight. I need the number for Penelope's cell phone." "Which Penelope?" "The one from Birchenough. Do you have it?" Birchenough is another care facility in the area. "Why do you need her number?" Cause she wants to talk on the phone." "Wait, she wants you to call? Why doesn't she call yourself?" Cause the eel what? The eel electric is what Noel calls electricity, but he's associating that with an electric eel, so he calls electricity the eel electric. Oh, and he uses the eel electric to talk about the feelings he's having for a girl, basically. "The eel electric, when a man, well, a woman, well, when you just have to, when everything is, so don't you get it, Robert?" "You mean being in love? Are you in love, Noel?" "In love? Excuse me, what is this? What's that supposed to mean, Robert?" "Isn't that when you go to a naked woman, who then you're very intimate with her, and she tricks you into bed, and then she makes things messy. Mess, yuck, just yuck." "Oh, but that's just sex." "Sex! Being in love is a bit different." "But what's different?" "To be in love means that you can only think about this one person. As soon as they're around you, you're ecstatic. But as soon as they leave, you feel terrible. Electric. And then you try to stay close to them. And why is that?" "Oh, because it feels good. First you both flirt, and then at some point you hold hands, gaze into each other's eyes, and then..." "Robert, what then?" "Then you kiss." "The kind with your tongue? Yuck! No, Robert, I don't like it. And then..." "Fuck!" And it just goes on like that. And then they get a dirty DVD and they go watch it. These are all, people who are adults but can't live on their own, so they're in this care facility. So it just has that really great conversational flow where every character has their own quirks, their own interests. This is a character who likes things organized and sanitary, and each one has their own personality, and then the conversations flow and are kind of sweet and charming as those personalities interact. So that's kind of just a sense of what the book is about. And it's really driven by these kind of interactions and this kind of writing. And even though it has a very sad ending, it's also sweet. It's a bittersweet ending. It's a story about learning to kind of, I don't want to say grow up or something, but it's just a story about a character evolving and learning more about life. And I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really powerful book. I'm really glad I got it, and I would highly recommend it to everybody else.
Like and subscribe and hit the bell, please, so Carson can finish reading his books and let me go home.